Black Adam takes the two things that I feel are overexposed the most in Hollywood right now: superhero movies and The Rock. I love The Rock, but he's overexposed. So I had really low expectations going into Black Adam. I've never seen a film with so much discrepancy between the audiences and the critics. When do audiences and critics ever agree on a film? Unless it's something super awesome like Terminator 2, which is unanimously liked, they always disagree. Why is this any different? I can see critics just going into this and be like, oh my god, maybe, just maybe, there's a supervillain origin movie that will do something radically different and risk everything with its IP. But when you've got The Rock as the lead actor, one thing is for sure. If there's one thing you're going to get from this film, it's safe. And Black Adam plays it safe. Black Adam does nothing to deviate from plot familiarity or cliches at all. Instead, it leans into it because The Rock is playing the field. He's playing Hollywood and he knows that these movies do well at the box office. Whether or not it's truly doing well is a bit of a different story, but he's a guy that models his career on big action movie icons like Schwarzenegger and Stallone. And this is exactly what he's trying to do here. The film's fish out of water story borrows from Terminator 2. It borrows a lot from Terminator 2, and rightfully so. If you're going to steal stuff, you want to steal from the greats. This whole aspect of Black Adam coming into the modern world and a child having to morally ground him and teach him what it means to be a hero, I mean, that's exactly Terminator 2. In fact, it perfectly copies Terminator 2, especially with this idea that this little kid will give Black Adam catchphrases to do when he kills people.
Chill out, dickwad.
When Black Adam first gets released in this movie, he is made to look like such a badass, decapitating people and ripping skulls out practically. He's tearing it up. He's ripping through these guys like they're in a Mortal Kombat game. And I was actually impressed by this because I thought to myself, how did they make this still look like M? It rides this fine line. At one point, Black Adam puts a grenade in a guy's mouth and the grenade does go off. And that was when the film made me think that this might have some balls. Maybe it won't be as predictable as I think it's going to be. And it's a shame that in the DCEU, it's not exactly shocking to see superheroes kill people anymore. Superheroes like Hawkman come up to Black Adam constantly and tell him, you shouldn't be killing people, you don't do that, heroes don't kill people, we don't do that. And I'm thinking to myself, that's all you guys do. It's a shame because that's meant to be the whole hook of this movie, is that heroes don't kill people, but Black Adam does. Pierce Brosnan is a great casting choice. I loved him as Dr. Fate, and he manages to add a lot of emotional weight to things that are written horribly. Now, I know Doctor Strange came after Dr. Fate according to the comics in history, but unfortunately he's stuck kind of playing a carbon copy of Doctor Strange. This is Dr. Fate's screen debut and he's constantly playing catch up with Doctor Strange. He is pretty much doing all the same stuff that we've already seen Doctor Strange do. This movie feels like a greatest hits of Doctor Strange's powers. The look of everything, the crystals, even lines of dialogue that he says, you feel like it was ripped right out of Avengers Endgame. The idea that he can see into the future and he'll act accordingly means that he has liberties to do weird things or not do anything at all in scenes. You say to yourself, I see what they're doing. He knows he doesn't have to do anything. I don't know, it's just lame. I see it as just lame storytelling. Every time you see every time you see Dr. Fate, you just think of Doctor Strange, but with less of a backstory. Pierce Brosnan is awesome though. Like, maybe I'm just blinded by nostalgia, I don't know. I've always been a huge fan of Brosnan. He's always been my favorite James Bond. And just the novelty of seeing Pierce Brosnan and The Rock in the same movie, it just lights up my inner child. As a child, I could never imagine seeing The Rock and James Bond in the same movie. Getting to see The Rock as a superhero, it's almost boggling of the mind that it took 15 years or something ridiculous like that for The Rock to play this role. When I think to myself, the easiest way for a studio to make money would be to have The Rock be a superhero. The guy's jacked, even at like 50 something. So The Rock looks perfect for this role. He's great as Black Adam. He's stoic, he's serious, he's different. You know, he's got to pull down all the charm and charisma and energy from his other roles. He's good at sprouting out those one-liners too. Like they always have that little oomph about him, the it factor. I guess the main issue is this film just feels very dated. Probably because it was stuck in production hell for so long that they stuck with a story that was written 15 years ago. And it was relevant to the superhero movies that were happening back then, but for now it just feels formulaic and lazy. In a world where we have shows like The Boys that explore what it means to be a superhero in all these complex and creative ways, anti-heroes are just much more complex. The lines of what it means to be a hero and a villain are blurred. When you have characters like Homelander, Black Adam feels just too safe. Feels more like a bad guy in wrestling rather than a bad guy superhero. Pretty ironic considering The Rock is playing this role. I guess the thing that pisses me off with these movies is why can't Hollywood make a decent supervillain origin story? It should be different to a superhero origin story because it's more interesting. You're following the villain. By the end of the movie, they should be a villain. But yet these movies always feel like they're just the same thing. They try to mislead you in the trailer and act like it's gonna be so different, radical, what's gonna happen? But then you watch the movie and none of that matters. Very similar to how I felt watching Disney's Cruella. They build up and make you sympathize so much with this person that by the end of the movie, they forget that they're supposed to be a villain. There's no way that you're gonna tell me that that character is the Cruella that ends up stealing 100 Dalmatians. I just don't buy it. And it's the same with this movie. By the end, they try and make out like they've made this clear decision that he is a villain, when nothing he did leading up to that point was a villain. Anti-hero maybe, but no supervillain. If something critical had happened in the story, if the little kid had died accidentally because of Black Adam's power, because he couldn't control his power, and this little kid had died in his arms. Just imagine if that had happened. And then Black Adam decides that's it. He's consumed with rage, that he decides, I am a villain. Wouldn't that be so much more interesting? Because then it makes sense. But that's not what we got. Instead, we just got this safe, mindless action. One good thing is that I feel that Black Adam is better than all of Phase 4 of Marvel. And that is purely because the lack of woke politics and virtue signaling. I never felt the movie was trying to lecture me for who I am. So the movie automatically gets a few points above most films in 2022, which is sad for the state of movies now. Black Adam is fun, but forgettable. Nothing was offensively bad about the film. Nothing happens where I go, that's weird. Why do they keep saying stuff like that? Black Adam has a simplicity because it's not trying to do crappy improvisational humor that only the cast and crew find funny, like Thor: Love and Thunder. The movie is at its best when Black Adam is just ruthlessly destroying people, and the movie just lets him do that. It's a shame that's not a large part of the movie, and it gets jumbled into heroes banding together to take down a generic CGI villain.
Big CGI fight coming up.
I hate it when a film just can't make its point through subtlety, so it has to constantly have the characters deliver lines of dialogue to just bang you over the head. Example, The Rock says, I'm not a hero like 10 million times in this movie. We get it, you're not gonna be a hero by the end. Even though it makes no sense because you're meant to be a villain. I did have to laugh at the antagonists of this movie. They're just called Intergang. Seriously. They couldn't come up with a better name than Intergang. Why don't you just call them Gang? Might as well just call them The Gang. So the gangs terrorize the city. We never find out what their deal is, where they came from, what they're about, who founded them, why they do what they do. So that kind of just poses too many questions to the audience where we don't understand. And for a movie as long as this film is, I'm sure that could have been fleshed out a bit. I just wish they had fleshed out the bad guys. I always say this in superhero cinematic universe movies that there's always a real lack of logic. Like, I find it really funny that as soon as Black Adam gets released, Amanda Waller is straight away on a call like, who are we gonna get to call? Who do we call in to deal with this? We got the Justice League, The Suicide Squad. Let's get Hawkman. You've already established that you're in a world where there's Superman and Batman and Aquaman, and yet I'm supposed to believe that they're gonna call these reject superheroes to deal with Black Adam. All the performances in Black Adam are fine, except for a child actor that, yeah, the child actor was not good. The child actor is playing a John Connor type role to Black Adam, and he's trying to get Black Adam to be more of a hero and use catchphrases and not kill people. The child actor is just not connecting for me, and his chemistry with The Rock is a bit off. I usually don't like to criticize actors' performances, but this was kind of a vital role, and it just didn't work. You could have totally pulled out that character's role and just had The Rock interacting with the mother, Adriana Tamaz, played by Sarah Sahi. She was already the person that released Black Adam anyway, so it would make sense for her to be the one that has to get him to be more of a hero and be an inspiration. It brings up another issue, is this movie has way too many characters and just too much stuff happening. There's a generic villain that gets introduced in the last like 20 minutes. He could be removed and you'd be fine. The movie just has too many characters, man. Like, this is not a Justice League. It's Black Adam. We only need Black Adam and a villain, or another character. We don't need like 10 million other superheroes. And they do nothing anyway. Like Atom Smasher, I think his name was. He gets big, that's it. He's kind of a comic relief. Cyclone will be like throwing poles at Black Adam and missing with all of them, and you look at it and you're like, what is her purpose? Why is she even here? Do we need this character? One of the sad things about this movie is it had like 5 different endings. Which ending out of these 5 do you want to film? Yep, all of them. So you go through like 5 different moments in this movie where you're saying to yourself, okay, the movie can end here. I'd be pretty happy with that. Oh, it's not. It's gonna keep going. Okay. All right. Well, that's definitely where it's ending. Fade to black credits, right? Okay. No, that's not. It just keeps going. And the worst part is these moments are so much better as opportunities to end on. But the movie says, nah, we have to go through the stupid superhero movie ending trope where shit is everywhere, CGI looks like dog shit, and we have a stupid beam to the sky. We gotta have a bad guy with no backstory. All this stuff we see in the last like 15, 20 minutes is stuff we've seen from like 20 years ago. There's a moment in this movie where I feel they had a clear opportunity to do something different with the ending and just let the villain become a villain. But you can almost hear the producers being like, if we don't end this on a happier note, we can't do 10 more sequels. Like, there was a very clear dark ending in this movie and they just screw it up completely. On paper, you can see what they're trying to do and you can appreciate that they are trying to make something for the fans. They get all the right ingredients, but they somehow screw up the execution. Everything's there. Did we put the right ingredients in, or did we put too much of something? There's definitely too much of something in this. If there was one scene I could say that I really enjoyed though, it was the scene when the Justice Society and Black Adam are coming together and they're trying to discuss this plan of how they're going to beat the bad guy. And Black Adam just flies away and decides, screw you guys, I'll just do it myself. He just leaves and destroys the whole base by himself, and I thought it was pretty cool because they knew what we were expecting. And they said, screw that, we're not going to do that. But then they do all these other cliches anyway. So it's like they're aware that we know what's coming, but then they still do it anyway. Overall, Black Adam is a fun, mindless popcorn flick. I didn't feel it deserves as much hate as it's received from critics. I enjoyed the film, but I felt the last half hour was overkill for me and just left me in a state where I just wanted the film to end. It's not a movie I'm gonna go back to anytime soon, but I also didn't regret going to see it. I am happy that DC is starting to turn things around because I have not liked any DC movies except for The Suicide Squad. But this was good, and I feel that healthy competition between DC and Marvel is going to improve their movies. If one of them's just getting destroyed, then the other one will just put out trash like She-Hulk and Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm gonna give Black Adam 2.5 rock bottoms out of 5. And I would say if you go to see the movie, just go in with low expectations. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more videos like it. And comment below, what did you think of Black Adam? Whose side are you on? The critics or the fans? Anyway, that's me, guys. Take care.